Hey everyone, what's up and welcome. Today we're going to be going over my FragPunk settings. So many of you over the past couple of weeks have been asking for a settings guide, and today I'm finally going to put one together for you all. A lot of you have also been wondering where the YouTube videos have been over the past couple of weeks. We have been seriously grinding FragPunk over on my Twitch streams, and it's paid off. We have finally hit Punk Master, the max rank in the game. Just to show you guys how much time we've played, 137 hours since launch already. So yeah, that's why there hasn't been many videos, but I definitely plan to share lots here on the channel. And so if you guys want to look forward to that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I know this is kind of a quick update before we get into the settings, but I felt the need to keep you in the loop. The leaderboard grind has been going well. We are currently rank 157, and I haven't played since yesterday, and I barely played yesterday. So hopefully we can crack top 100. Over on the character Chum behind me here, we are currently rank 2. It's pretty awesome. I've been having a ton of fun on this character, and we are grinding the heck out of him. So yeah, rank 2 on Chum. We're rank 157 on the leaderboard. Let's get into the settings. Look forward to more FragPunk content here on the channel, and thanks for being so patient with me. All right, so let's get into the settings. I do want to preface that a lot of these general settings you'll probably be able to just pull from, but a lot of my key bindings and sensitivities are custom to me, and I highly encourage you to strictly pull inspiration from it or use it as a sense of direction as to where you should go with your settings. Let's get into general. Text language, I just play on English. Spoken language, I actually might try Chinese, but I'm playing on English right now just for recognizability. A lot of the character voice lines in this game actually get really annoying. They're so repetitive, and listening to it in Chinese might just make it more epic to listen to, like straight up. It can be less annoying than English, so give it a try. But I'm playing on English right now. Anti-motion sickness, I don't have those applied. It's just going to change settings that I'm already going to set custom, so I don't recommend clicking that right now. Automatic climbing, I keep this on. It actually is nice to just be able to click space and go up a zip line rather than having to click a dedicated interact key with it. I actually find it quite useful. Automatic sprint, I highly encourage you guys to keep this off. I'm in the range right now, and I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of people right now have automatic sprint on, and it basically means that you're going to automatic sprint everywhere. And the cool part about this game is that you can sprint left and right. Like, it's kind of an insane tool to use during combat. If you're not sprint peeking someone and you're just regular peeking someone, you're at a severe disadvantage. And so that's why a lot of people run automatic sprint. But the downside of automatic sprint is that you're always moving at the loudest speed possible. And when I tell you that this guy over here is going to be able to hear you sprinting in game, I literally mean it. People across the entire map can read where you are, and it's terrible to constantly move around while sprinting. Whereas a regular walk speed is still a lot quicker than a shift walk speed, which is purely silent. This is purely silent, but it's very quiet. This is a little bit loud. It makes a very small radius of noise, probably to about here. But you are much quicker, and specifically when you have knife out, it's very good for rotates. You move very quickly, but if you're shift walking, knife speed and gun speed doesn't differ at all. Walking speed, gun speed, and knife speed is drastically different. This is the best way to be rotating around the map. Regular walk with knife out. And so I highly encourage you, do not turn on automatic sprint. You're missing out on a key speed to move and rotate at, to hit flanks with, and like I said, you just had a big disadvantage if you have auto sprint on. So moving on to camera shake during sprint, turn this off. I don't like camera shake. FOV sprint scaling, I keep this off. I do not like my FOV changing on me based on movement inputs. I just think it's terrible. I think this was a thing back in the day in Apex. I'm almost certain it was. When you like clicked a certain character's ability, it would like increase your FOV. It's just not something I enjoy. Switch weapon on pickup, I like this. If I pick up a weapon, I want it to instantly put the gun I'm picking up in my hands because I'm probably out of ammo on the weapon I'm trying to swap off of. Flash eye guarding mode, this just changes the flash like screen, so it makes it dark gray instead of pure white. I just like the white. Every time I switch this, I think my game's crashing. Target guide, I keep this off. This is just kind of something to help new players. Paint road guide, I also keep this off to help new players. Interactable door highlights, this also just is there to help you, but I do like seeing stuff that's interactable, so I keep this on. Limit mouse area out of match, I actually keep this on as well. I just like it when my mouse is locked to the game window. And your default scope magnification, you can either set this to low, high, or custom. to every single weapon in the game. I just default, I just default this to low because basically every time I pick up an AR or I pick up anything with a scope that has magnification, it defaults to 1 times. If you change this, you could make it so that as soon as you pick up a weapon, it defaults to this zoom and you'd have to manually set it back to low. I don't want that. I just like 1-time zoom. This is where I keep it. In terms of my minimap settings, these are just my settings. Like if you want to copy paste them, you can do so. I do like having my minimap orientation rotate, and this is the scale and size of everything here. I don't keep player centered either. I keep that off. Moving down, we're going to talk about my display settings. I keep performance metrics on. This is the giant thing across the top of my screen. It tells you your ping, it tells you your FPS. It's fairly useful. Enable button hints, keep off. Hide bottom right loadouts, I also keep that off. I like seeing what guns I have in the bottom right in the HUD. Ping visibility, I just keep this at 1. You could make it a bit more opaque, but I don't find it like intrusive, so I just leave it at 1. Auto ping, I turn these on. This is basically going to automatically ping enemies who you shoot at. I just think that's kind of awesome. And it's off by default for non-shard clash mode, so like the non-search and destroy mode, but I just keep it on for everything. I mean, like more info for teammates. I don't care what we're playing. If we're playing a TDM, I like to keep it on. Colorblind mode, I keep it off. Enemy color, these are going to be like the colors that your enemies glow at. I'm pretty sure by default it's red. I set it to yellow. Yellow is a very attention grabbing color, and I always set it to yellow or green if I have the option to in games, and so that's why I set it there. Display headwear, I keep this on. I actually like seeing enemy headwear because sometimes it puts them at a competitive disadvantage. There are some massive pieces of headwear, and sometimes it pops around cover or over cover, and then you know where they are. Hide overly visible skin components from enemies. Okay, I don't know why it's off. It should be on. This basically makes it so that if I did have this setting on and I was wearing a giant helmet, my opponents wouldn't be able to see that helmet if it put me at a competitive disadvantage. But for my allies, hide overly visible skin components from allies, this I keep off. I'm not going against my teammates. It doesn't really matter if I'm wearing a ridiculous headpiece they could see over cover as long as my opponents don't see it. And then display customized crosshair of current player. I keep this on because I like to see the crosshairs that people run. I'm not gonna lie, there are some crazy crosshairs out there. Some of you guys are freaks in the sheets, bro. I don't understand why y'all run some of the stuff you do, but it's entertaining to look at, that's for sure. Custom crosshair. I'm gonna put the crosshair code. I can literally export a code into the description of this video. So this way, if you want to copy my crosshair, you can have my exact crosshair in game. But it's just a green dot. I'm slowly going to scroll down this just so you guys can kind of like, you know, play it back and implement this if you want to, if you didn't want to copy the code or you're watching this from a console. It's very static. I have all my outer lines off. It's literally just a green dot. And in game, this is what it looks like. I'll go up closer to a wall so you can see it a bit easier. Right there. Just a tiny little green dot in the middle of my screen. It doesn't bloom. It doesn't show me movement penalty. It doesn't nothing. It's just a reference of the center of my screen. And so that's going to do it for general settings. We're going to move on to my keyboard settings now. And these, I don't run anything that's character specific. It's actually really nice. They implemented the feature to set keybind specific to each character, kind of like you can in Marvel Rivals, but I just have a generalized baseline of settings here. I did change some of the settings, like my special shard card, I set that to V. I got rid of next weapon, previous weapon off scroll wheel. My skill 3 I set to X instead of T. My map F, Z for drop weapon, N for inspect. These are just bindings I generally set in every game, every FPS I play. And toggle zoom is my left alt. Jumping, I double bind that to scroll wheel up just so I can bunny hop easier. Sprinting I have set to hold, and I've also set my walk to hold. I do have my walk key set to my side mouse button, and sprinting is my left shift. And then I crouch with left control in C. Lastly, in terms of my interact, I've changed that to side mouse button as well. My emote wheels 5, quick message, like some of these stuff are just very meticulous things I decided to change. Push to talk T, but you guys get the gist. These are all my keybinds. You don't have to copy paste them. At the end of the day, I just like to choose what's comfortable for me. That's what's most important. Don't copy paste something if you just really don't enjoy it. It's not going to benefit you more than your keybinds that you already have on would. In terms of my controller inputs, every time I play any FPS, I never change my bindings when it comes to my controller. I do play with a scuff controller. I personally don't play this game on controller, but I leave my stuff default if I were to play, because I have back pedals, 4 back pedals where I can double bind stuff on my controller. So that's just kind of what I would do if you were wondering. All right, so moving on to my sensitivity. Like I said, this is something I strictly advise to just pull inspiration from. You can just copy paste it to try it, but like I said, there is no secret sauce behind this sensitivity. It's not a god sensitivity. It's not something that's gonna instantly make you better. This is a tactical shooter, like I said, a very arcadey one at that. And there's a lot of fine aiming, a lot of micro adjustments, and a lot of what we would call static and dynamic clicking scenarios in this game. There is tracking because the TTK is a little bit longer than something like Valorant, but at the end of the day, it's not like it's a very long TTK kind of game. And so if you've ever talked about sensitivities in game in terms of distance, I always use a ruler to measure out my sensitivity. My sensitivity in this game measures out to 45 centimeters per 360. So if you took a ruler and then added 10 centimeters on top of that and you moved your mouse that distance, that would do one full circle in game. 45 centimeters is what I play a lot of my games at. I play a lot of Apex Legends too, and I played 35 centimeters in that game because there's just a lot more movement, a lot of people flying over your heads. You don't run into those aiming scenarios in this game though, so there's just no reason to have that high of sensitivity, and so I've lowered it. Yeah, 0.22 is what I run, and a 1.19 sense multiplier is what matches my hip fire to my ADS sensitivity. I do play at 1600 DPI, and once again, whether I'm looking in hipfire and I do a 360 or I'm ADS'd and I do a 360, it's the same amount of distance on my mouse pad, and so that's why I have the 1.19 multiplier. If you guys do run a camera sensitivity of standard or just custom and set it to 1.0, it's basically just going to FOV scale your sensitivity. It just makes it so that the in-game distance at which you travel your cursor is the same between sensitivities, whereas matching it like this makes it so that the in real life physical distance, the physical distance you're moving your arm, is the same between your look and your ADS. Either or, they're both great. I personally just prefer to have a matching distance. In terms of my controller settings, these I haven't touched. I'm not gonna give you guys a ton of input. I'll probably give an updated guide once this game drops on console in terms of controller settings, just because a lot of controller people will then be trying it out. But like I said, I haven't played on controller yet, and so I'm exclusively giving you guys my mouse and keyboard sensitivity and keybinds. Moving on to video settings, a lot of you guys actually asked this, and I do have like some interesting things to say about what's in here. I set it to full screen, 16:9 is the aspect ratio I play on. A display resolution, I play on 1440p, and I'm at 125 FOV right now. When I first started playing this game, I had this cranked down to 103, and I was actually really enjoying 103. The target size is actually a lot bigger at 103. If I come here, you see how big everything looks? Targets are very large. It's actually really nice to shoot at targets at 103 FOV, but I had a friend and he mentioned he was really enjoying 125 FOV. And so I tried it out myself and cranked it to the max. And I will say, although targets are a lot smaller, I do really enjoy the mass amounts of information I get on my screen. I can see everything. Like, I'm pretty sure some of these targets weren't even on my screen at 103 or borderline cut off. It's just, you get so much view and so much perspective at 125. So I've kind of come to really enjoy it. I will say though, although 125 is great for target switching because you have so much on your screen, you can see everything. It's very easy to switch between targets when there are multiple people all around you. But there is no denying that aiming at 125 FOV at very long distances is going to make targets really hard to see, and also just much smaller targets to look at. And it will actually have probably a small negative impact on your ability to kill targets at a longer range, as consistently as you would at 103. Just to give a bit of explanation, if I were to run Kovacs, which is an aim training software, and do dynamic clicking scenarios, which is a lot of what you run into in this game, at 125 FOV and do that same scenario at 103 FOV, I would honestly probably drive better scores at 103 than I would at 125. But that's where the trade-off comes in. This game is not a specific aim training scenario that you're going to farm over and over again. This is an FPS, and there are a lot of moving components, a lot of places to be aware of, a lot of people you got to be, looking out for, and that's kind of where the trade-off comes in. I do enjoy 125 FOV. Moving on to filter, I run Vivid. I actually really like the vibrant colors. It just makes the game a lot prettier. Post-processing intensity, this is just normal. I can't even change it. My menu frame rate limit, gameplay frame rate limit, and autofocus frame rate limit, I have 240, 240, and 60. You're gonna wanna set this to whatever your refresh rate is on your monitor. I personally really like autofocus frame rate limit because when I'm streaming and I tab out, the game doesn't look choppy. It just looks completely smooth. Brightness, I have set to 1, but I've actually cranked my sharpness up to 3. I find the sharpness at 3 looks really sharp. I don't know, it makes the game look much crispier, and I'll let that be something for you guys to just try out. Go in your settings menu, change it from default to 3, and I'd be surprised if you guys didn't like the difference. VSync off, anti-tearing off, and graphics API I have it set to DX12. DX12 is oftentimes just a lot stabler than DX11. I don't often have great experience with DX11 versions of games. And this is a very important setting I want to go over. By default, this is set to off. I recommend you turn it on. It's visual simplification. The visual simplification gives you the ability to minimalist setting a bunch of effects and textures within the game that make visibility a lot easier. It actually makes looking at, the map and being able to spot targets a lot easier. Effects complexity, this is gonna affect abilities. Scene saturation is gonna affect the colors, light complexity. Obviously the lighting and the material complexity is where I think the biggest difference is made in the textures of everything you look at. Everything looks very Valorant-y, I guess you could say, and it's just nice. The dead effects and damage numbers, I've turned off damage numbers. Some people like it. I just don't find it necessary. It just adds stuff in front of your screen when you're trying to look at a target, and anything that's distracting I want off. Dead effects, these things definitely turn off. It actually sometimes blinds you from targets that are behind other targets. So if there was multiple people on my screen and I killed one, this dead effect could literally flashbang, not flashbang me, but make it so I can't see the enemy behind the dead effect. UI info simplification, I've turned this on, and UI animation reduction, I've also turned this on. This one's a big one. It actually just is much less distracting when you get a kill under your gun. Instead of, once again, flashbanging you, it's just a simple little PNG that pops up. In terms of my graphic quality settings, I've set it to custom, DLSS 4, balance, prioritize speed. And in terms of my actual quality settings, low latency on, mesh quality, all this stuff, I've cranked up to epic. I honestly don't notice a difference between setting my stuff to epic and low. I'm not even joking. I feel like the simplification of these graphics really makes the game run smooth, and so just having the simplified graphics look as good as possible is kind of what I've been going for or try to achieve. All of the reflections and lighting effects and ray tracing, all this stuff, I just have turned off, but UI resolution I have on high, and animation physical, this is the ability to see gun charms and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure on allies weapons, I have that turned on. It's very simple. I just like to be able to see that stuff. We're almost through this. Moving on to my audio settings, I keep my master volume at 100. My music I keep at 0. I always keep my music at 0. Sound effects volume I keep at 100, and character voice 50. You'll probably want to turn this to 0 at some point. I don't recommend you do, but damn, the characters get annoying. Announcer voice, keep it 100. Button sound 100. Keep audio playing in the background, personal preference. I just like to keep it on. Character voice simplification. This is one I actually like. There's a lot of yapping that the characters do, and I don't want them yapping mid-round, and so voice simplification keeps it so that the only things they're saying mid-round are the useful bits of information. This does not apply though. This setting does not apply pre-round. So when you're, running around with your allies and the barriers are still up, your character's still gonna yap. So don't get it confused. The settings on, you won't hear bullshit mid-round. Voice chat volume 50. All this stuff is just my custom stuff, but my push to talk key is T and my party key is P. Last minute, gonna briefly scroll down my privacy settings. These are literally irrelevant, but if you guys wanted to see them, there you go, there they are. And that's gonna do it for my settings, man. But yeah, I hope this settings guide helped you out. I know I talked through a ton of it, but I just wanted to give you guys explanation and mindset behind every one of the settings, because a lot of them I did have a reason for setting it to what I set it at. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying FragPunk. I hope you guys look forward to more of this content here on the channel. This game apparently is leaked. The release date has been leaked to launch, I think, April 4th on consoles. And so I'm very excited for the console launch as well. I know there's a massive chunk of the FragPunk community that was stoked at launch, and they've unfortunately, I think it was like Sony, they made them like postpone the release. It was actually, from what I've heard, it wasn't on FragPunk at all. It was Sony's problem, like it was PlayStation's problem. And so yeah, I look forward to seeing how the console players enjoy this game. I look forward to seeing how much you guys enjoy these videos, and look forward to more guides here on the channel. I'll definitely be making some chum tips, because we've been grinding the hell out of chum. We're ranked 2 chum right now, and I got a lot to say about this character. So yeah, stay tuned. Catch you guys in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you guys in my stream as well. We'll be grinding rank for the rest of the day, trying to crack top 100. Keep up, stay up. Peace out.